Before we dive deep into the contents of this video, I would just like to specify one thing that I've been getting a lot of requests from people about creating videos on freelancing and about creating videos on how to crack interviews and different other things that I know that you guys are concerned about. So just to bring it to your notice, I have like planned, I have a certain pipeline in place that and that pipeline is following a certain sequence, and I'm uploading all my videos in a particular sequence, right? And there's a big reason behind it, a big reason that I'm going to reveal maybe next year. I have a date in mind for that, and that date is going to be 8th March 2023. So everything would start making sense. But just to maximize your learning, one thing that I would like to recommend to you guys is that watch each and every video in the sequence that I'm uploading it in, because there's something that you're going to pick up from each and every video, and it is going to help you in the longer run, right? And also at the end of the video, I'll talk a little bit about my Discord server. So do make sure to watch this entire video, because there are going to be some things in this video that is going to change your way of thinking, your approach, your mindset, and they might change your life, right? So let's get started. Whenever we look at successful people, we see one thing that is very common in all of them, right? And that one thing is that they are like very passionate about whatever they are pursuing in their career, right? So if, let's say, we talk about some technical person, some techie who is like very successful in their career, we can see that they are very passionate about tech, right? Whatever field they are in, maybe they would be in DevOps, maybe they are freelancing, they are a digital nomad or things like that. They're very passionate about whatever they are doing, like they enjoy whatever they are doing. So the first thing that I would recommend to you guys is to find your passion, whatever it is. If it is not in tech, then just try to explore a little bit. Try to find the passion that you have, whatever field it is in. And if it is in tech, then try to explore what technologies interest you, like what technologies makes you excited and makes you more and more curious, and pursue those technologies and then see what is the scope of those technologies, right? Do not just keep diving into different fields like DevOps and web development, but just first identify the technologies that you're passionate about, and then see what is the scope with that technology. So, in my example, when I was starting my journey in coding, I started with Python and I kind of liked it, right? It started making me more and more curious, and I just used to keep googling stuff like how does this library would work, and how I can write this script and that script. So I started with scripting. I used to write a lot of scripts in Python, and eventually, uh, when I like started getting good at Python, and I like drastically improved my skills in Python in a very short period of time. The only reason being is that I was very passionate about it. I was like very passionate about learning how to code in Python, and eventually, I started with a little bit of you know problem solving, the competitive programming questions, DSA, and then I moved to scripting, the actual scripting, how scripts are written. And then once I got good at scripting, I eventually started exploring what are the things that I can do with Python. And eventually I came across frameworks like Flask and Django, and it opened my eyes that I could also get into web development. And eventually, I picked up web development, right? So, and I'm not saying that you cannot directly think that your passion lies in web development or DevOps, but if you're confused, then the best resolution that I can suggest is that to pick a technology and try to implement those skills in that technology, right? So it could be DevOps, it could be web development. Pick a technology. Maybe you're picking up Java, or you're picking up Python, you're picking up JavaScript. Pick a technology, right? And once you pick that technology, try to learn that technology. And once you're good with that technology, only then start thinking about the fields that it can open for you, right? Maybe you can go if you start with Java, maybe you can go into DevOps, or you can go into web development. If you're You can also go into app development, mobile development, things like that, right? So that is one thing. You need to be passionate about whatever you are doing. It's not about if you're doing DevOps or web development. It's also about the technology in which you are doing it in, right? Because once your passion starts seeping in, everything else becomes kind of monotonous, right? Because I mean, once I'm like good with Python, it is very easy for me to switch into JavaScript, because I mean, since I know Python, it's just I know that the fundamentals are going to remain same. It's just about making that transition in terms of syntax, right? What syntax does JavaScript follows. And one more difference, I mean, that is the major difference that is there, is that Python is synchronous in nature, JavaScript is asynchronous in nature. So that is one more thing. But without getting into details, you just need to be passionate about whatever you're doing. So that's the very first thing that is going to help you in being successful. And whatever successful people you're looking at, you can find this common trait in among all of them. Whatever they are doing, they are very passionate about whatever they are doing, right? So that is the only reason why they are very curious. They have a lot of knowledge, and they ask a lot of questions because they're passionate about it. And when they ask these questions, when they get answers of these questions, either through some books or Google or some tutorials, whatever it is only making them better and better by the day, right? So that is the objective. You need to be very passionate about whatever you are choosing. Now, the second most important point for being successful is hard work, right? So a lot of people think that they want to be successful, but they don't want to put in the number of hours that it takes to actually become successful, the time it takes to become successful, right? So let me be very honest here. Success doesn't happen overnight, right? You might be inspired by some people who's they built some product and it went viral, or they built some game and it went viral and they faced overnight success. That's not the case. You don't know how much time they've invested before that, right? To actually reach that stage. It might be a little bit of luck, I would say. Success depends a little bit on luck as well. It depends on a little bit on the kind of opportunities you're getting and at what time you're getting those opportunities. But hard work plays a major role when it comes to success, right? If you want to achieve success, you need to be very hardworking, right? In my case, I mean, if I say that I even went on to work till 15, 16 hours in a day, I mean it, right? And that is the only reason why I was able to achieve whatever I did, right? So hard work is very important. And I'm not saying it will help you to reach to the top, but it will help you to reach much closer to whatever you're aspiring to. Definitely help you, to reach um, much closer to whatever you're aspiring to, right? Whatever your dreams are. So hard work is the second thing you need to keep in mind. You need to put in the number of hours that is required to actually achieve whatever you are after. The third point that I'd like to highlight when it comes to being successful, the deciding factor of being successful or not, is you need to be good at what you do, right? So a lot of people ask me that whenever we apply for jobs, there are a lot of candidates, so what is the guarantee that I would get the job? Or since there's so much competition for that single job, how am I going to get that job? I mean, see, it's very simple. As long as you're not better than others, you're anyway not going to get any job, right? There are a lot of candidates that apply to a single job. And the like the main thing for the interviewer is to hire the best out of them, right? So if you're aspiring to be average, it's not going to work out. You need to be better than others. You need to put all that hard work in, just to be better than others, right? It is very important. If you're aspiring to be an average developer, then things are not going to work out. You need to be good at what you do, right? And again, I mean, the last 2 points that I mentioned, the passion and hard work, they are going to drive you to become better and better by the day. And I mean it, right? Whatever you are doing, this passion and this hard work that you're going to have and you're going to put in, it is going to make you better and better by the day. And it will make you so much better than others. Then that whenever you apply to a job or anything, there's no chance that the interviewer would find anyone over you, until and unless they have put in more hard work and they're more passionate about what they're doing, right? So I mean, you need to be better than others. If keep worrying about how will I get a job, the only reason is that you're low on confidence, right? You're not confident at all, and you don't believe in yourself. But we'll come to that later, right? So the thing you should keep in mind is that you should not strive to be an average. You should strive to be better than average, right? That is the main thing. Be good at what you do, and good things would come to you. The next thing that you need to focus on, and I actually said the keyword, so the next thing you should keep in mind is focus, right? So focus is very important, when it comes to success. You need to be very focused about whatever you're aspiring to be, and you need to have all that concentration in place whenever you're actually learning or things like that. Because if you are someone who is very easily distracted when you are doing something, then I mean, eventually it leads to procrastination, right? And no one likes that. So I mean, at the end of the day, I understand that we all sometimes procrastinate, but focus is very important, right? So focus is very important when it comes to you know getting what you want. And until and unless you're not focused on what you're doing, you're not going to be able to achieve it in the given time frame or whatever deadlines you have set for you, right? So that is one thing. And in my previous video as well, I mean, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend that you go check it out. And in my previous video, in the last section of that video, I like helped you understand that hard work, dedication and focus are two things that comes with habit, right? So there are various ways in which you can improve focus, right? You can maybe start meditating a little bit, right? That is something that I follow. It is a practice I follow every day. Before going to bed, 10 minutes before going to bed, I meditate each and every day, and that helps me stay very focused, right? And again, I mean, whenever I have to take a decision on the spot, or whenever I'm stressed about something or things like that, I just like look towards meditating for maybe 5-10 minutes, something like that. And this form of meditation could be anything, right? It could be a guided meditation. Maybe you have some YouTube video that you're listening to and just sitting down, all calm down. Or you could be listening to music. Just listen to music, close your eyes for 10 minutes, and just focus on the lyrics or something like that. It will help you align your thoughts, and it will remove a lot of unnecessary things from your mind, right? So that helps a lot in focusing when it comes to focus. And again, I mean, apart from that, there are some other things that can help you in improving your focus. Things like, there are a lot of Rubik's cube, so I'll solve a lot of Rubik's cube. And eventually, I mean, whenever I pick up a Rubik's cube, my entire like concentration is on solving that, right? So it's a very addictive thing, to be very honest, but in the long run it helps you in increasing your focus. So maybe you can have a Rubik's cube in place, try to solve it, and that will help you build that focus, that whatever you're doing, your 100% concentration is in that, into that, right? You're not thinking about anything else. So that is very important, to be focused, right? And it will take you places. I mean, once you crack that, it is going to take you places. The next thing that helps in succeeding is persistence, right? So persistence is very important when it comes to, it is a very important deciding factor when it comes to if you whether you're going to be successful or not, right? So I mean, doing one thing once is not going to help you, but if you're persistent about it, if you're putting in that hard work each and every day, it is going to eventually make you master it, whatever you're doing, right? So in the last video, again I'm referring to last video, and in the beginning of this video I very frankly said that each and every video is in a sequence. So I mean, you must be getting some reference, and why is it in sequence, and what is the end goal of this? That is something which would be revealed on 8th March 2023. So I mean, not gonna tell you what it is before that, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to persistence, even in the last video, I said that you need to put in that number of hours each and every day in the last section, right? Last video, last section, I mentioned that you need to put in that number of hours each and every day if you want to be, you know, successful. Because I mean, it's not like you have unlimited time, so you need to be persistent, and you need to actually get into that habit of doing it each and every day. That takes a lot of, I understand that takes a lot of discipline, but again, I mean, if you're passionate about what you are doing, the first point that I mentioned in this video, if you're passionate about what you're doing, and you enjoy what you're doing, and you're hardworking in nature, I mean, you have this mindset that I'm going to put in a lot of hard work, more than anything, into whatever I'm doing. And if you're focused, then you're going to get good by each and every day. And when I say that you are going to get good each and every day, what I mean is that that takes a lot of persistence, right? So again, you'll see that all the points are interconnected to each other. These are some of the best habits that you need to have if you want to be successful. You need to be hardworking. You need to be like strive to be better than others, be best at what you do, and you need to, you know, have a lot of focus while you're doing your stuff, and you need to be passionate about whatever you're doing, right? So that all of that is going to lead to persistence. You're going to enjoy whatever you do each and every day, and you're going to get better at whatever you're doing each and every day. By the day, you're going to get better, and eventually, I mean, all this hard work is going to pay off, right? That is what success means, right? Now if I talk about the next point that is there, it's to, one of the key things to become successful is to have measurable outcomes, right? A lot of I've seen a lot of people who, start their career saying that, I want to be financially independent. I understand that you want to be financially independent, but what is the measurable outcome of it? Can you measure what is financially independence? There should be some, like, better, there should be a better goal to it, right? It could be that, for I mean, when I specified in my first video that when I was starting out, I had this goal in mind that I'm going to, like, earn more than a lakh in a month, and after 1 year of my journey, and I did, right? So the reason why I was able to pull off that thing was that it was not like I was just like very ambiguous with my approach that I'm going to be financially independent, but I actually gave it a number, a measurable outcome, that I would consider myself financially independent 1 year from now if I start making more than a lakh in a month. And just because I had this figure in my mind the entire year, right? Whatever I did, whatever actions I did, pushed me more and more towards that goal, right? So you need to have those better goals, right? And I mean, the example that I gave was in terms of financial, independence, but it could be also in terms of focus. If you are able to, you know, be productive for these many hours. It could be about, hard work. If you are able to, pull off these many hours of work each and every day, it could be 7 hours, it could be 8 hours, it could be 10 hours, and you can use, different time tracking tools that are out there. You can, use those tools to identify if you're actually achieving those goals or not. It could be in terms of coding as well. How much number of hours you're coding each and every day. There's a tool known as Vaka Time. I'll leave that link in the description below. You can check that out. That tool tracks how much number of hours you have coded each and every day, right? So there are, you need to have these measurable goals for whatever you're trying to, whatever you're trying to pursue. You need to have measurable goals for that. You need to have better goals, right? Until and unless your goals are not measurable, because I mean, see, if I, let's say, talk in an ambiguity that I want to uh, code more number of hours in a day, right? So what is the measurable outcome there, right? I've not defined a number here, right? Or if I, let's say that I want to, study for these I want to study more in a day. That is my goal, right? So what is the number there? How am I going to measure if I'm studying more or not, right? There needs to be a number. If let's say in today's scenario I'm studying only for 2 hours, and my goal is to study for more than 5 hours each and every day, then that 5 hours is the measurable outcome, right? If I start tracking my time and then check out each and every day if I'm making a progress or not, right? Then I mean, eventually it is going to help me achieve that goal, right? And when I track this, when I start tracking this daily, I can also, see where I'm going wrong. I might be procrastinating a lot, so that is the problem I need to fix. Maybe I need to identify why I'm procrastinating. Maybe I'm watching a lot of Netflix, or I'm doing random, I'm just surfing the web randomly and things like that. So there could be a lot of factors, but you'll only be able to identify these factors if you're going to track that daily. And to track that daily, you need to have an end goal as well. So have better goals for yourself, and that is going to help you in the longer run, right? The next thing that helps in becoming successful is to build expertise in something, right? So Again, it is interconnected with the passion point that I made, right? So you need to be passionate about something, and once you're passionate about something, you need to start building your expertise in it, right? If you are persistent each and every day, if you're persistent each and every day, and if you're putting in the hard work that it takes each and every day, if you have the focus that it requires, and if, let's say, you're striving to be very good at it and you're passionate about it, what will it eventually do, right? What will it eventually do? If you ask yourself this question, what will it eventually do? The answer is very simple, right? It is going to make you expert by the day, right? And this is something that I'm emphasizing in like each and every point that I'm making. But you're going to get better each and every day. And when you start making that progress, when you're actually improving by the day, it's just a matter of time when you'll be successful, right? And I mean it. So I mean, you need to keep in mind that you should like strive for excellence, and along with the, striving for excellence, in the process to strive for excellence, you should actually build your expertise in the domain that you're picking up, right? So again, it takes a lot of persistence, hard work, and things like that, but I think you got the point. The last and final point of this video on how to become successful, and this is a big one, right, is to push your limits. I mean, I've seen a lot of people who, you know, uh, have different excuses of not doing things, right? One thing that is common that you like need to make sure is that you need to take necessary steps to achieve your dreams, right? There are certain steps to achieve your dreams, and you need to make sure that you're taking those steps. I'll tell you something. So there are, three types of people when it generally comes to this, right? So the first category of people that I'm talking about are those people who are afraid, who have developed this fear that I won't be able to achieve anything. And I know, when you're watching this video, I know that you would be able to relate with this. Many of you would be able to relate with this, that you deep inside you have this fear that you're not going to, be able to achieve anything. You have this fear, right? And because of this fear, you're procrastinating by the day. Each and every day you're procrastinating, you're wasting a lot of time just because you don't believe in yourself, and just because you think that not going to be able to achieve anything. And I'll tell you the reason behind that as well, why you might be going through this. So I mean, as you guys know, I have been very active on social medias. I've been replying to each and every DMs, and I'm reading all of them. I'm also reading all the comments in my videos, and I'm engaging a lot. So in all these engagements, one thing that I've noticed is that students or whoever is learning, they are wasting a lot of time on unnecessary things, right? uh, some of the students that are there, they haven't even started learning, or they might have started learning whatever it is, but they have already started searching on Google on things like, they've started watching videos and surfing web for questions like how much tax does remote developer needs to pay, right? Now let me ask you something. Is that the right question to ask? I mean, you haven't even scored a remote job yet, and your worry lies more on how much tax the remote developer needs to pay in a year, right? And then, I mean, once you get that number, maybe it could be 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, whatever it is. Once you get that number, you then start searching how to save tax. First get a job, man. I mean, why are you searching all these questions on web in the first place? When you reach that goal, then that becomes your problem, right? A lot of students, whatever field they're pursuing, if let's say that you're someone who is pursuing web development, right? I know most of you, what most of you do is that you keep searching for different web developer jobs on Google, and you're still learning, right? But you keep searching on all these web developer jobs on Google, and you see the list of requirements that they have for someone who is qualified to apply to them, and you see all these technical jargon words, and you see things like minimum experience should be 2 years, 3 years, things like that. And you guys are freshers, right? So you see these things that minimum experience is 2 years, 3 years, and then you also see things like you need to be good at MERN stack, and you need to have some experience with PostgreSQL, and you need to, maybe have some experience with Mongo, and you need to, be able to set up CI/CD pipelines and things like that. You see all those things, and then you start developing that fear that when you read those requirements, you don't understand what those requirements are talking about because you're still learning. And just because you don't know what they are, you would then start searching what is CI/CD, and you would then start searching how to write test cases, and then you would start searching what is Mongo, what is PostgreSQL, and what are these things. And you'll then also start searching that do fresher gets a job, right? Because most of the jobs that are out there requires minimum experience of 2 years, 3 years, right? So you go through these requirements, and then you start worrying a lot, which again leads to asking more and more questions, questions related to that. And when you develop this fear, and eventually it leads to you developing that fear that I'm not going to be able to score these jobs in the first place. And once you start developing this fear, you start procrastinating. And I know a lot of you must be relating to this, that this exactly happens with me. I'm just searching on the web, and I just saw a job description, and it is for a remote web developer, and I see some technical jargon in it. You need to know Jenkins, and you need to be a scrum master, and you need to be good with MERN stack, you need to know NoSQL database, you need to know SQL database, and you need to know how to set up CI/CD pipelines, and you should have a minimum experience of 2 3 years. You go through all these requirements, and then you, like, start thinking that how am I going to reach that stage, when at this stage I don't even know what these words are. How am I going to reach that stage? You start asking that question, and then once you start asking that question, you start researching about those questions, you start getting deeper and deeper into things you don't know yet, right? Of how things work, you don't know yet. You start getting deeper and deeper into these things, and you start developing that fear. And once you start developing that fear, you start procrastinating. You start thinking, yeah, this is not something that I can do. What is the point of learning in the first place? Right? And then you start looking for roadmaps. Like, I need a roadmap on how to become a web developer. I need a roadmap on how to become a DevOps engineer. You start looking for these roadmaps, because then you feel directionless, completely directionless, because you see these requirements and you get overwhelmed by things that you haven't even reached a point that you should know about them. These things that jobs require, they are not basics in the first place. And on the other hand, what you are learning are basics, right? This is the reason why you develop that fear. And this is the main reason why you start procrastinating. You start wasting a lot of time in these questions. You start exploring how to save tax, and how much tax do I need to pay, and how do freshers get a job. And believe me, I get a lot of questions like these. A lot of questions like these, with students completely demotivated and completely low on confidence, that this is not something I can do. You give me a roadmap, how to become a engineer, how to score these jobs. And there's a reason behind that. I mean, the main reason why you're low on confidence, why you're procrastinating, and uh, you know uh, you don't believe yourself, is that you go through these things, and these things are not meant for you in the first place. Are you job ready yet? Why are you searching for these things in the first place? Ask yourself, are you job ready yet? You're not job ready, right? You're still studying, you're still gaining experience, you're still understanding how to implement different things, and things like that. So, like, when you have not reached that level yet, when you can build an application from scratch on your own, when you have not even reached that stage, why are you looking for these things in the first place? Why are you overwhelming yourself with so many things, right? It is not good to have all this knowledge when you're still in the learning phase. It is not good to know what these things require when you're still in the learning phase, because eventually what will it lead to is that it will overwhelm you with a lot of things, and those things will occupy your mind, and then you start losing focus. That is when you start losing focus, because whenever you then sit down to study, These things would run in the back of your mind that I don't even have, I'm a fresher. How am I going to apply to jobs that require 2 years, 3 years of experience? Right. And then you start thinking that, oh, I haven't even heard of Jenkins, what it is, and how am I going to, learn about this? And leaving what you're doing currently, you start reading about Jenkins. That's how distracted you are. That's where you lose focus. And that is why you are not going to succeed. So stop asking these questions, take it one step at a time, learn first. Right. First, your first objective is should be to learn, right? Whatever you're doing, your second objective should be to build projects to see where you're lacking, right? It might be that you picked up some project and you wrote a very good backend out of it, but your front end is not very good, right? So now you know that you need to improve your front end. Work on it. Work on your building your front end skills, right? Once your front end and back end is sorted, then try to uh, explore different databases, right? Once your database is also sorted, then maybe try to perform some testing on your application. How unit test is performed, how test is performed, and things like that. Once you have tested your application, once you have achieved all these things, then maybe try to deploy your application, how the user is going to use your application. Maybe you're going to use uh, Google Cloud Platform, or you're going to use AWS, or you're going to use Microsoft Azure, whatever it is. The next step is to try to deploy your applications. And once you have done this entire thing, once you've started from scratch and you've deployed the application with all the checks in the middle, only then you're job ready, right? If you're, let's say, pursuing to be a front end developer, first try to build some static websites, right? Then maybe move to React. Try to pick some complicated projects, try to build them from scratch. And once you have built them from scratch, try to deploy them. Right. And once you do this entire journey and you also maybe perform some test cases, maybe you do some snapshot testing or whatever it is, once you do all these things, then you are job ready. It is then when you should start looking for jobs. Right. Have those goals in mind, but take it one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with all these things. Don't unnecessarily research about things that you don't understand yet. Because there's a time to understand certain things, right? If let's say I started directly with how to perform test cases without even knowing Python, or if let's say I started directly with Django without even knowing Python, how was it going to ever work out for me? What my first step was to learn Python first, right? To be good at it. I performed some competitive programming just to make sure that my syntax are spot on, and I'm actually a good problem solver. The main objective was to build my problem solving skills, and once I did, I started scripting a lot. I created a lot of scrapers, and I created a lot of bots for Slack and WhatsApp and things like that. I did all those things. I also even did some data mining and things like that. Once I was good with scripting and I understood what Python is and how it works, what is the synchronous nature, how I can make it asynchronous, things like that. Only then did I move to backend, right? And when I moved to backend, I wasn't like, my first thing was not to focus on database or anything like that. My first focus was to build a good backend. And then when I built a good backend, I then got to know that there's some tool known as Postman, and I can test my APIs with Postman. Then I got to know that there's some other way of testing as well. I need to write some integration tests, some unit tests, and things like that. So just because I went with the flow, right, things automatically started coming out for me, right? My journey automatically started paving its own path, right? Just think of it this way. I mean, when you're starting out your journey, uh, think of it in a way that you're standing on a road and there's a lot of fog in front of you, right? There's a lot of fog in front of you and you cannot see anything. If you're someone in Delhi, then you can relate with me in winters that there's a lot of fog and there's no visibility, right? Until and unless you take that first step, you wouldn't know what lies ahead, right? And if you just read about all those things, that what lies ahead, what turns I need to take and things like that, you're going to feel very overwhelmed because you can't even see what is there in front of you just because of all that fog. But just because you're just a fresher, you're just starting out, you can't even see what is there, and you're afraid to take the first step, You're afraid to take the first step because you're overwhelmed by all these things. You don't believe yourself. Take it one step at a time, right? And that each and every step should take you closer to the goal that you defined, the measurable goal that you defined, the one that I was talking about earlier. And, just go with the flow, right? Things would start coming up for you. Your journey would automatically start forming up, right? Don't just get overwhelmed by all these things. Don't even research about all these things, because at the end of the day they're just going to overwhelm you. They're just going to like embed a fear inside of you that how am I going to do all of this in 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. And eventually you would lose your focus. And when you lose your focus, you will lose the persistence and hard work that you're putting in. And you would start losing your passion about that entire thing, right? So there's a way of doing things. When I say that I'm uploading all the videos in a sequence on this channel, the reason is that I don't want to overwhelm you guys with unnecessary information, right? When the time comes, I will upload videos on freelancing. When the time comes, I will upload videos on how to crack interviews, but not before I make you reach those points, right? Not before I make you eligible enough to be even able to. Because I mean, if I start creating videos on how to freelance, you would start freelancing. Maybe you would go to some platforms, you would start bidding, but what would be the outcome of it? Maybe you'll get some projects, maybe not, right? If you get some projects, let's say, and if you're not able to complete them, who is going to lose confidence? You, right? You're going to lose all your confidence, because you're very confident today that I'm okay, I'm going to do freelancing, but I know that you might not be having relevant skills. So until and unless I teach those skills to you, I'm not going to create any videos on freelancing. Until and unless I teach you each and everything and make you job ready, I'm not going to create any videos on how to crack interviews, right? So there's always a way on how things happen. And you need to take it one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself, don't be afraid of these things. Just keep your focus on one thing and one thing only, that is learning, right? So that is there. And this was like the first category of people that who just are afraid. And that's because I mean they procrastinate and don't take a step forward. The second category of people that I'm going to talk about are those people who don't take a step forward because of the you know restrictions that they have in terms of limit, right? So again, since answer a lot of questions, I answer a lot of things, right, on DMs and comment section. I have got a lot of messages from students who say that like, I have college from morning till night, and then I'm not going to find any time, right? So what these students feel, and I like, again, I'm going to like refer back to my second video, like things to consider before dropping out of college. In the last section there, I explained how you can calculate what time you are spending where, and see how much free time you have. And again, I mean, when I talk about that video, it was not just about students who want to drop out. If you are a college student or a working professional who wants to maximize their learning, I suggest that you watch at least the last section of that video, because it is going to benefit you greatly, right? You'll be able to identify where all your time goes and how much free time you're left with. And when you realize how much free time you're left with, and when you realize that you're wasting all of that time, it might change your perception about time. And it might help you utilize that time well and maximize your self learning, right? But coming back to the point, the second kind of people, I get a lot of messages where students are saying that I have college from morning till evening, and then I feel very tired, so I don't I'm not being able to find time, right? So again, I mean, see, when it comes to these limitations, right, you need to identify the things that are unnecessary in your life, right? And you need to utilize that time well. It could be that I'm not saying that you have some free time in Monday to Friday. It could be that you actually don't have any time from Monday to Friday. But what about the weekends? What are you doing in the weekends? Are you saying that you're not able to find 6 7 hours in the weekends as well? Try to identify where that time is going, right? Maybe you're oversleeping a lot, 14 15 hours of sleep, or maybe you're spending a lot of time procrastinating. That again, I mean, it could be because of fear as well as limitation. So these two things could also be there in some cases, that you are afraid of taking that first step because you are overwhelmed by the entire journey and restrictions in terms of time or other restraints, right? So I mean, just try to identify those restraints and push your limits, right? Push your limits, because I mean, see, a lot of people, talk about work life balance. Work life balance comes into picture when you have achieved something, right? When you are in the process of achieving something, you should not consider work life balance, because it will only delay the process. Just imagine, someone who is devoting 8 hours each and every day, keeping each and everything aside, and you on the other hand studying for only 2 3 hours in a day, and also maintaining a work life balance. He is definitely, the first person is definitely going to achieve something much quicker than you. And when he does, when he's settled in his life, when he is actually making money and things like that, he's going to have a lot of work life balance. He's settled in terms of what he's making in terms of money, and he's also finding a lot of time to relax, just chill out, right? But you on the other hand, you are spending a lot of time on relaxing and leisure and chilling out along with studying. So in this process you might take 4 5 years. On the other hand, the other person was taking 1 year or something, right? So you need to make sure that you push your limits and do not be limited by these restraints and things like that, because I understand that a lot of you might be restricted by limits, certain limits that are there. It could be in terms of time, it could be in terms of finances, things like that. But there's always a way out. You just need to have the will, right? And I mean, to give you my example again, I mean, when I was like studying college, and so my day to day schedule was that from Monday to Friday I used to give interviews in call centers, right? And when I used to give these interviews, I mean, I used to go in the morning, but there were so many candidates, and I mean, I was just very shocked to see so many candidates, and these candidates are very qualified. I mean, some of them were interviewing for a call center after pursuing BTech. And it wasn't making sense to me. Like, I was like, "Eh, what are you doing, man?" I mean, you have a BTech, why are you applying to a call center in the first place? And these are very demotivated people. They say that in our current skill set, we are not going to get a job, because they spent those 4 years in BTech worrying about the things that I'm talking about. They spent their 4 years worrying about how am I going to get these skills that it takes to get a job, right? So I mean, that was their case. So I used to spend like my Monday to Friday and like meet all so many of these people, and who were just struggling with their life, with were very low on confidence and things like that. I used to spend my Monday and Friday the entire day with them. I used to leave my home in the morning and come back at night. And then Saturday, Sunday, I used to have my classes, because I was doing a distant course from IGNO, because that was the only affordable college I could go to or pursue, right? So was doing my distant course from the IGNU, and they used to have classes on Saturdays and Sundays. So my entire week was occupied and I wasn't able to find time. So my decision in that case was to drop out of college, and I had some strong reasonings for that as well. I mentioned it again in my previous video. Do not take that decision before considering all the things. But just because I was having those restraints and restrictions, and I just dropped out of college to eliminate that. So then I was by like having a lot of time with me, and I just like started implementing all of these things I'm talking about right now. I was like completely fearless, because I mean, try to understand this thing that when everything is against you, right? When everything is against you in life, and you feel that okay, my parents are not making that much money, and they're not financially stable, and I need to start making money quickly, and I have very limited time, and I need to support my family financially and things like that. When you have all these things, you're packed down by all these things. Maybe you went through a very bad breakup, or something like that. It's a legit reason for a lot of people. I have personally received DMs of people giving me this reason, that They had a very like bad breakup, and because of that, I mean, they are not being able to concentrate on things and things like that. When you're in a bad spot, there's nothing more to lose. Whatever steps you take are only going to take you forward. Think of it this way. Let's say I have a ball in hand, right, and I drop it on the ground. When it hits the ground, where is it going to go next? It is going to bounce back, right? It is going to come up, right? So whenever you hit your rock bottom, whenever you feel that things cannot go any worse than this, and this is the worst that could have happened with me, just understand that the only way forward from there is to go up, is to get better, right? Is to make the things better around you. That's the only way, because you cannot lose anything else. There's everything to gain but nothing to lose. So have that fearless mindset. The only reason why I succeeded was that I was very fearless in my approach. When all the things went against me, my family just had like money to support themselves financially for maybe 5 6 months or something like that. And I knew that a clock like had started running for me, and I need to like provide financially to them. The only mindset that I had, the only thing that I had in my mind was that there is nothing more I can lose, and whatever hard work and whatever things I'm putting in right now is only going to improve the situation for the better. There's nothing else that can get worse. And this mindset took me places, right? So don't get restricted by these limitations. Try to understand what these limitations are, right? And try to find your workarounds and be creative with your approach, right? That is when thinking out of the box comes into picture. I did something that not a lot of people do in India. I dropped out of college because I was thinking outside the box. That was my way of solving it, right? You might not be like having that approval from your parents or things like that, so come up with some other things. Is it actually important to score 9.9 cgpa in college? Why are you spending so much time on your college education when you personally feel that it is not something that is going to help you out in the long run? And if you're someone who is worried that your college education or your college CGPA is going to affect your career in the long run, I am sitting here without a degree. So just think again, is all I can say, right? Just think again, because I'm sitting here without a degree, and you, on the other hand, are worrying. I get a lot of DMs of people asking me that, what I'm going to do because my CGPA is very low. And I'm like, dude, you are asking someone who doesn't even have a degree. So like, is it not self-explanatory that it doesn't matter? Is it not self-explanatory? It is, right? It is self-explanatory. Degree, like, these things don't matter. How much you score in college, I am telling you, no one in my career have ever asked me how much I scored in my 12th. And people are afraid that, yeah, I'm not good in math, so how is it going to work out for me? I'll tell you something. In 12th, I scored 49 out of 100 in maths. Did that stop me from achieving my goals? No, because I was fearless. I was fearless with my approach. I had this mentality that I have nothing more to lose and everything from gain from this point onwards, from this day onwards. And my goal was very clear. In 1 year, I need to achieve 1 lakh plus in a month, each and every month. Right. My goal was clear. I was completely fearless. And it all started turning out well for me, and I wasn't like overwhelmed with all these things. In fact, I was like confident that nothing can stop me now in this entire world. I was confident. I had this feeling that I need to prove myself. I need to prove myself to everyone, and I am not going to do that by saying. I'm going to do that by my actions. My relatives used to put so much pressure on me when even when I was freelancing. My relatives used to put so much pressure on me that why are you not doing a job? You're job ready. You're already making money there, but there's no stability in freelancing. Why are you not doing a job and things like that? They used to put so much pressure on me because they were still doubting me, but I was not doubting myself. And the only thing that I had in mind is that I'm going to prove to them with my actions. When I actually start making that kind of money, they're automatically going to stop poking me around of getting a job and things like that. And they did. right? I mean, when I actually reached a point where I like no more cared about uh, finances and things like that, and I was actually like doing pretty good in my life, everyone stopped poking me. Why? Because I proved myself to them, not by just saying, but by actually doing, right? And so yeah, I mean, you need to understand what those limitations are, and you need to, you know, just try to eliminate them, try to find a workaround for them, be creative with your approach, right? So yeah, I mean, I know this session has stretched a lot, but I need to like give you all these things because my long term objective is not just to teach you tech, but to also give you a piece of my mind, right? How I think, what my mindset is, how I approach a problem, how I solve a problem, how I pick up a new technology from scratch and learn it within a couple of days, things like that. So I also want to like impart all of that knowledge into you, and that is the reason my videos might stretch a little bit because I have a lot to say. So if you're willing to hear, it might help you. But yeah, so I mean, so far we discussed about two categories of people. The first, who develop this fear because of overwhelming things that they see in front of us, the journey that is so huge and overwhelming in front of them. They get afraid of this, and don't even take the first step because of this. The second is that people are restricted by their limitations, and they don't take a step because of that. Maybe they are not finding enough time, maybe they're distracted by being overwhelmed and procrastinating a lot or things like that. So those things happen. Now comes the third category of people. These third category of people are the ones that I talked about just now. They are fearless, right? They just want to prove everything through their actions. They don't talk much, and they just take that first step without caring about anything. They don't undermine themselves. They are very confident. They believe in themselves, and they take the first step. And once they take the first step, with all the attributes that we have talked about, the passion, the hard work, the persistence, the focus, things like that, the grit and will to be best in what you do and not just be an average, all these things, when they have all these things in mind, and then they take their first step with a very fearless approach that they have nothing to lose and everything to gain, these are the people that get successful. And the other two categories that I was talking about, the one that develop fear and get overwhelmed, and the ones that are restricted by their limitations, when they see these people, the people in the third category, and when they see how much successful they are, they just start getting demotivated more and more. They start losing confidence more and more, because the problem is that you're just seeing what that person has achieved, but you're not seeing what it took him to achieve that, right? So you need to focus on both the things, like what he achieved and what it took him to achieve that, right? How much sacrifice he must have given and things like that. For me personally, I mean, I had no social life at all. I was not on WhatsApp, I was not on Instagram, I was not on Twitter, because I was kind of addicted to these things, and it was very important for me to just like get rid of them, so that most of my time, and this is a problem that I identified. I mean, when I started my journey in coding, I actually identified that I'm spending 2 3 hours just on WhatsApp, chatting with people. And Instagram I didn't used to use much, and I was not on Twitter or LinkedIn or things like that. But WhatsApp was eating up a lot of time of mine, maybe 2 3 hours each and every day, and it was not making sense to me. Like, how am I giving so much time to WhatsApp when I'm on the clock, when I have to like achieve something in 5 6 months to be able to provide my family? How am I spending all that time in WhatsApp? I mean, it wasn't just making sense, but I was addictive to it. So the step that I took to eliminate that was to uninstall WhatsApp. I did. I had no social life for 1 year. For one entire year, I was in no contact with any of my friends. My friends even didn't even know if I was alive or not, and that's a fact, right? I was like so underground and things like that, that I was in no social media, I had no calls, nothing. I was just like, they didn't even know if I was alive or dead, things like that. So because I mean, my focus was to And that was the only reason why I was able to put 15-16 hours each and every day dedicatedly just on my studies, right? Because I had no social communication with anyone, not even my family. I mean, when I started my journey, I was not at home. I like the typical thing. I went to Himalayas. I went to Himachal Pradesh, and from there I started my journey. One of the biggest reason was that the cost of living in villages is not that high as compared to cities. So I want to reduce that, my personal cost of living, because I wasn't like asking for any money from my family. I was just managing everything on my own, right? So one of the main reasons was also that the cost of living is low there. So I went into Himalayas, Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala, and I worked from hills. I mean, I started my journey from hills, and yeah, I mean, I didn't even used to talk to my family. I mean, when my mom used to call, I used to pick up the call, just talk to her for a couple of minutes, and that was it. I mean, that was the only time I had to for other things except for my self studies. And that's how, things worked out for me, because I actually, like, all the points that I've mentioned in this video, I actually put in all that hard work. And it is very easy for people to look at me and say ki, yeah, you got so successful and things like that, and we are not able to achieve all of those things. But if you look at my journey, you can't even imagine the kind of things I've done. And don't worry, I'll share off all of this on 8th March 2023. As I've already mentioned, I have the entire year planned out. I have the entire boot camp planned out. I know each and every video that I'm going to post on this channel. And yeah, I mean, things are pretty sorted right now. I have everything figured out. So all you have to do is just sit back and just learn, and just follow and things like that. But yeah, so I mean, these are the three categories of people. Your objective should be to, if you are in the first two categories, the one who are afraid and the ones who are restricted by their limitations, if you are in the first two categories, your objective should be to identify your problems and now work on them. And you need to have a strong reasoning. I mean, let's say that you're procrastinating, you should ask yourself, why am I procrastinating? If you are, let's say, afraid, you should ask yourself, why am I afraid? Because like at the end of the day, all of us are humans, right? And we are configured in the same way. It's just a matter of approach, how we approach different things, what kind of mindset we have that makes us different from each other. And it's not some rocket science, it's not an overnight success for any one of us, right? Each one of us has gone through a journey, have gone through a process, we have had certain things that we have done, and that's why we are here where we are. So you need to, just take that first step and move a little bit forward, and only then you would see what road lies ahead, right? Because currently, I mean, there's a lot of fog in front of you, there's a lot of uncertainty in front of you, and it is very difficult to make out where to go, right? You take that first step, you see all the roads that are there in front of you, and then you choose what road I want to take, right? But don't just, try to plan everything from day one, because planning everything from day one takes a lot of time and practice, right? I've been doing it since years. That's why, I mean, if you ask me how I was able to plan my entire YouTube channel for the entire year, with like what videos are going to be there, what is going to be the contents of the boot camp and things like that, it's because, I mean, I've been doing it since a very long time, right? I've been planning out my entire months and my entire year. So now I know that if I have an end goal in my mind, if let's say my end goal is the thing, like something very big that I'm talking about on 8th March 2023, I know what are going to be my steps to achieve that, right? I have cracked that process of achieving it. And it is my own process, and you're going to develop your own process over time. But yeah, I mean, in the long run, just don't be afraid of taking that first step. Just take that first step and believe in yourself. At the end of the day, we are all humans. It's not like I can achieve it and you cannot. You can do it too. It's just that you need to, like, let go of all the fear that you have. You need to identify the actual problems, the limitations, everything that you're facing, and you need to take one step at a time. Maybe your first step could be that how to increase my focus, my concentration. Again, as I mentioned, you could meditate a little bit. You can, so take a Rubik's cube, solve them, and basis on that you can increase your concentration and focus. If you're someone who is struggling with time management, again you could refer to my previous video and check out the last section of it, which might help you understand where you're wasting time and you would be able to maximize your self learning. And if you're someone who is struggling with choosing your field, then just take the first step. Just start learning that technology, start exploring it a little bit, and things would automatically start making sense to you. You will slowly start to understand what CI/CD is. You would slowly start to understand what testing is and how testing is done. You would slowly start to understand what DevOps is. You would things would automatically start coming to you. And once you take that first step, a lot of opportunities start coming for you, because I mean opportunities are everywhere around of us, right? There are so many events that are happening, so many hackathons that are happening, but the only reason why you are not able to join them, or you're not able to achieve anything in them, or actually contribute in them, is because you haven't even taken that first step yet, right? So these opportunities would still be there when you take that first step, but you would be much better than what you are today, and you would be much more capable to take that challenge, that opportunity head on, right? So just make sure to keep in mind all these things. Remove that fear of yours. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't search about unnecessary things on internet. Just take that first step. Take it one step at a time. Identify your problems, figure out a solution for them, and start working on it, and have measurable goals for you, for even to solve these small problems, right? If you, let's say, want to manage your time better, you want to study for 5 hours every day, then start tracking your time each and every day. See how much progress you're making. If let's say on one particular day or one particular week you didn't make much progress, or you actually lost some progress, then try to identify why I lost this progress and try to eliminate that factor, right? We want to increase your focus, then start doing these things, and just see if you're able to sit down for 3-4 hours and actually like put in those productive hours into actually building something or learning something, things like that. That could be a measurable outcome on focus, that how less distracted you are, how many times did you get off your seat and went somewhere just to take a walk or things like that. Identify these things, try to create processes around them, try to have measurable outcomes for them, and take that first step, right? Believe in yourself, believe in your abilities. Everyone can achieve. It's just about what mindset you carry, and the approach that you have. With that being said, I think I've spoken a lot already, so it's time I bring this video to an end. And as I mentioned in the previous video, my Discord server is now set up. You would find its link in the description below. And yeah, I mean, ask your questions in my Discord server from now onwards. I'll address all of those questions. I'll answer all of them, and interact with each other, help each other out, as I mentioned in my previous video as well. Uh, People who drop out of college, or who maybe might be working professionals, they might feel isolated when they come into tech, when they venture their journey into tech. So help them out, let them know about opportunities, share with each other, and again, I mean, I've mentioned it again and again, time and again in this video, that this entire like channel, the way I'm going to create videos is that they're going to follow a specific flow. And videos are all the videos I have planned, they are going to come in a particular sequence, right? So I'm not going to rush things here. No matter how many times you request me to add videos on freelancing or interviews, I'm not going to do that until the right time comes. And yeah, I mean, one more thing that I would like to highlight is that take this channel as a resource, right? This is a resource from where everyone can learn. So I urge you guys to like share this channel as much as you can, and share it with your friends, your family, your college groups, your school groups, whatever it is. Share this channel, and ask them to subscribe, or ask them to go through these videos. If they like the videos, then they might subscribe. Don't ask them to subscribe directly, right? Just ask them to go through the videos, and if they like the content, they would subscribe automatically. That's I don't have to say that. And if you like this video, you can like this video, right? If you have if there are still some questions that are unanswered about how to become successful or things like that, drop your comments below. I'm going to answer your comments whatever I receive. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So yeah, just share this channel and take that first step, right? And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.